Welcome back to Sasquatch Wallows. My name's Kevin, and today for Swineherd Philosophy, we're going to talk about, does God have a sense of humor? Now, for people that know me, you already know my answer to this is, of course God has a sense of humor, because I'm in trouble if he doesn't. But there are people that don't believe this, surprisingly, such as Charles Baudelaire, the French poet. He actually made the assertion that a lot of people agree with, and that is that holy books do not laugh. Well, I'm going to prove him wrong really quickly, and all you have to do for that is go to the Bible. Go way to the back, way to the front, I should say, in Numbers 22. It's where you find the story of Balaam. Now, Balaam wasn't an Israelite, but he was a seer and had some sort of knowledge of God. And he was asked to curse the Israelites, but God said, no, don't do that. He went to the king who wanted to curse the Israelites, and along the way, his donkey kept running him off the road. And eventually, the donkey starts talking to Balaam. This is in the Bible. There is a talking donkey. Now, anyone who has ever seen Shrek knows and probably should agree that it is axiomatic that talking donkeys are funny. Therefore, the Bible laughs. Baudelaire, wrong. Okay, so we need to get to other explanations of humor. And there are various theories on humor. One of them is Freud's release theory. It's pretty much what you would think of if you know Freud. The one of the other ones is a superiority humor, and that's kind of a derogatory. I'm superior or smarter than you, therefore I'm going to make fun of you, and that's going to be considered funny. Now, none of that, while those may appear in the Bible or in religious books, the main theory of humor in the Bible is actually the incongruity theory. Now, this was first kind of postulated and brought together by Aristotle, developed by Cicero, and then further even developed by the likes of Kant, Hegel, Schopenhauer, and Kierkegaard. So, what we know right there, you're in good company if you follow the incongruity theory of humor. And this is a really basic theory of humor. And it simply is that there's an expectation built up in the audience, there's a violation of that expectation, and then there's a resolution. And you see this in normal joke. You have the setup, gets you thinking one way, and then in comes the punchline, and it's totally different. But the reason why the punchline is funny in the joke is because while there is a violation of the expectancy, the resolution actually makes sense. And that's funny because your expectation is violated, but then the punchline is true, and so it reorders your brain, and that reordering is actually humorous. Now, we see this all the time in humor, but the Bible is full of it. The best example in the Bible of the incongruity theory of humor is Jesus himself. Let's take a look at this. Now, God made the world, put people in it. People and Satan and sin screwed it all up. And so the plan is we're going to send Jesus down to make all things right. Unfortunately, when Jesus showed up, he's a homeless, out of work carpenter, and he's nailed to a cross and dies. This isn't exactly the conquering king, Lord of Lords that we were promised. But that's funny because it's true. But it breaks up our expectations. Kind of comes to the theory of, which is put forth by George Bernard Shaw, the Irish playwright. He says that when you find something humorous, you need to look for a hidden truth. Or in other words, it's funny because it's true. He also went on to say that my way of telling a joke is to tell the truth, because the truth is the funniest thing in the world. And this makes perfect sense. If you think of Jesus in John, he says that I am the way, the truth, and the life. Now, if things are funny because they're true, that means that Christianity should be hilarious because Jesus is the truth. He can make all sorts of connections and break your expectations all over the place. So incongruity theory should work well with Christianity. Now, we kind of flew through that. Not a lot of examples. If you want more, go look it up. It's all over the place. But I think that answers the question of, does God have a sense of humor? I think the answer is clearly yes. However, that's just kind of rationally thinking through different theories of humor and applying it to Christianity. That is not swineherd philosophy. Now, swineherd philosophy needs to take that logical and rational argument and take it to the apocryphal and borderline heretical. So what we're going to do, if you haven't noticed, I am sitting in Bacon's toilet right now. I have pig poop all around me. So the question for swineherd philosophy and for does God have a sense of humor is, why do we poop and urinate? Now, the expectation is that the explanation will be, well, you see, every living thing eats, therefore every living thing poops. Meaning, we're all in a symbiotic relationship with the world. The pigs, they eat the grass, the plants, they eat the feed we give them, and then they poop, which fertilizes the ground and the plants and helps everything grow so it can keep going in that symbiotic relationship. And that makes perfect sense. However, a lot of people will get to heaven and they'll want to ask God, yes, hi Bacon. They'll want to ask God, hey, she doesn't like that I'm in her toilet. She probably wants to take a poop or something. But anyway, when I get to heaven, my question is going to be, God, why do humans have to poop and urinate? And here's the thing, God could give that expected answer of, well, you're part of the world and I wanted you to know that you are part of that system and how you actually have to steward it. That's the expected answer, but that's not funny. I think God's going to give a much, much more hilarious answer to that question. And I think his answer is going to be, you know what? I wanted to give you something, as Paul would call it, maybe a thorn in your side, but I wanted to give you something that 2 or 3 times a day, maybe more if you have issues, but 2 or 3 times a day, you're going to be reminded that I'm God and you're not. Now that's hilarious. And if you don't find that funny, we're going to probably have some problems. But anyway, that's swineherd philosophy on God's sense of humor and how we fit into it. Until next time, keep fighting the good fight. Thanks.